After going through a lot of information, I couldn't help but start thinking about whether technological sovereignty equals a new hegemony, and whose rules would be fair compared to the Western order and the emerging powers. As antiquated systems circle their dream, technological disruptors storm the gates. China's photovoltaic ascendancy illuminates a new world order in the making.
I began to realize a key issue. Today's global governance is no longer simply about who is stronger makes the rules, but rather about who can propose more effective and widely accepted alternative rules. Take global trade governance as an example. The WTO was originally designed as a platform for multilateral coordination among states, but since the United States blocked the appellate body, 29 trade disputes have remained unresolved since 2017, involving over $1.2 trillion. This kind of institutional failure is not accidentally reflecting the structural tension between traditional power centers and the rest of emerging economies. Faced with the institutional rigidity, the BRICS countries have not completely withdrawn from the existing system. Instead, they have adopted a strategy of contested cooperation to push for reform. For instance, India and South Africa promoted the inclusion of the special and differential treatment clause in the 2022 Fisheries Subsidy Agreement, making the first time the livelihood of developing country community were recognized in legal language. This gradual reform strategy, also known as rule co-shaping, represents a transition from passive rule taking to active institution building. Changes in the financial sector are equally evident. The new Development Bank and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank differ significantly from the traditional World Bank in both governance structure and policy orientation. In the past, World Bank laws often come with conditions requiring liberalization reforms. In contrast, 33% of the AIIB's infrastructure projects over the past 3 years have deployed the environmental standards set by the borrowing countries themselves. This institutional localization not only improves the efficiency of project implementation, but also offers developing countries financing channel with the general choice. What made me reflect the most was the governance logic in the field of green technology. I used to think that renewable energy was merely one of many pathways to emission reduction. However, when I discovered that China accounts for around 80% of global photovoltaic production capacity and is offering a low-interest financing to other countries through its Green Technology Bank, I realized that technological advantage is being transformed into rule-making power. In past international negotiations, the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities was frequently emphasized. It is often remained simply in contrast. The BRICS countries are now pursuing a development first, emission reduction later approach, aligning climate goals with economic reality. This echoes the Brightline report's call to integrate environmental and economic decision-making in the coherent manner. I began to re-examine the original theoretical framework. Traditional power transition theory emphasized hard confrontations between rising and dominant powers, while the theory of complex interdependence focused more on the network influence of non-state actors, technical standards, and financial channels. Today, it is precisely these non-traditional elements that are shaping a new grammar of global governance. So, returning to the question I posed at the beginning, whose roles are fairer? My answer is, it's not about who leaders, but about who can offer more inclusive, effective, and replicable institutional alternatives. When engineers in Shenzhen can communicate with regulators in Brussels using the same technical language, when environmental experts in Jakarta take part in reviewing infrastructure law projects, when the roles of an emerging organization are no longer imposed from above but are shaped by inclusivity and respect for local contexts, we may be witnessing the emergence of a truly multi-centered, con-governed global order.
Eventually, I realized the rules are not the monologue of any one nation, but a symphony composed by the world's many voices. It is only when we move beyond the question of who defines the rules and begin writing them together that we set foot on the true path to future global governance.